Sharper Point Commentary.
Since the state of Arizona is scheduled to carry out its first execution in more than 2 years, next week, it's worth talking about the state of the death penalty across the United States. 2 executions, one that happened last week in South Carolina and the other scheduled for next week in Louisiana, have reignited the debate over how we go about and whether we should be carrying out the ultimate punishment. 67-year-old Brad Sigmund died Friday by firing squad in South Carolina, something the condemned himself opted for, deciding it would be less painful than the electric chair. And next week, a Louisiana death row resident by the name of Jesse Hoffman Jr. is hoping to die by a relatively new method of capital punishment, not the form of punishment that ABC's Jim Ryan says he's scheduled to die by.
Jesse Hoffman is slated to be put to death by nitrogen hypoxia. And what happens, Jim? The prisoner is lying there on the execution table. A mask, the kind you'd find in a dentist's office or a doctor's office, is placed over the inmate's mouth and nose. He's breathing in oxygen at first, but that oxygen is replaced by nitrogen, which your body simply can't use, and you suffocate to death. So Jesse Hoffman has asked for a completely different method of being put to death, essentially, and we'll see what the judge says about that.
Besides the fact that it has to be very scary to be deprived of oxygen as a way to die, Hoffman says that nitrogen asphyxiation infringes on his freedom to practice his religion, specifically his Buddhist breathing and meditation exercises. So the 2 alternatives his lawyer are seeking are a firing squad or, as weird as this sounds, being allowed to drink an overdose of drugs mixed in apple juice. Here in Arizona, apple juice is not an option. So Aaron Gunches, our state's first execution in more than 2 years, will die by lethal injection next Wednesday. Gunchins, who pleaded guilty more than 17 years ago to murdering Ted Price, his girlfriend's ex-husband, back in 2002, recently said his death sentence was long overdue. I'd say so. He also shot an Arizona state trooper when he was pulled over near the California border in the year following the murder of Ted Price. A bulletproof vest saved that trooper's life, and the bullet casings from that scene matched the ones found near Price's body, leading to Gunch's conviction. The Arizona Supreme Court issued a death warrant for Gunches nearly 2 years ago, but Democratic Attorney General Chris Mays agreed not to pursue executions during a review of Arizona's death penalty protocol. That review ended this past November when Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs dismissed the retired federal judge that she'd appointed to examine execution procedures in our state. Listen, I'm okay with taking our time getting to executions. I want to make sure we're getting it right because I'm for the death penalty. And when we get it wrong, that makes people not want to have a death penalty. By the way, I'm for the death penalty in cases where any other punishment doesn't fit the crime. And because I'm also for the death penalty in certain cases, I'm willing to examine any and all forms, whether that involves apple juice or being tickled to death.
Thanks for watching Sharper Point. Click to see more from Arizona's morning news and tap the button in the middle to subscribe.